on Monday afternoon, about 5 days ago, exactly 5 days ago, I boxed this up. It's a box of a bunch of figs for someone's order. And I think that a bigger problem with shipping is for the figs to be too wet as opposed to too dry. If they're too wet, I think you can kill a plant that way if it's soggy the whole way. So I was trying to figure out a baseline on how moist things would stay without any protection at all. And by protection I mean plastic bags put in these cups in some sort of wrapping or newspapers on top, that type of a normal packaging thing set up to keep them moist. I was thinking that it might even be possible to not use that sort of packing stuff at all. So anyway, on Monday afternoon, boxed up part of somebody's order here, and I didn't use any wrapping at all. I just set the cups right in there. So now we're going to open it up. I haven't seen any of the cups yet, but we're going to open them up now on Saturday afternoon to see how they fared this 5 days. Now typically the trees wouldn't spend 5 days in shipping because I'm going to ship using 2-day shipping. So I just wanted to keep them in here an extra long time, because if they can survive 5 days in here, they could survive 2-day shipping. And you may be thinking, well, being in a box inside the greenhouse, that's kind of a nice situation to be in. That's not going to be as harsh as, say, outside. But I didn't actually keep the box in here. First day it was in the trunk of the Suburban, and then the next 4 days after that it was in the house. So it had ample opportunity to dry out. But it was sealed up, thick with plants, so I'm hoping that they came through okay. So now the challenge is to get them out. Alright. What do we got here? Violet Soleil, maybe? I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Definitely survived. It's good shape. Soil's moist. It's not fully dried out. I'm going to stick them in this tray of water as I take them out so that they can hydrate up again. But I'd say so far we're 1 for 1 on them coming through in good shape. Let's see how the second one turns out. Oh, look at that. I broke the stem taking it out. That's a bummer. It's a white Marseille. I have a whole bunch of extras of these, so that won't be an issue. But that's frustrating. Okay. Let's see what we can safely get out. Coldodon Grisei. That plant looks like it's in really nice shape for having spent 5 days in a box. Now during this 5 days, I rolled the box around some to try and simulate postal workers not doing a good job of being delicate with it. So the box spent some time on its side, on each of the sides even, and I briefly turned it upside down, but I didn't leave it that way. Oh, come on, little fella. This one got dry. What is it? California brown turkey. The plant would still make it, but it's got droopy leaves. When it gets watered, most of that will perk back up. Some of this will be crispy. What do we got next? I think maybe just the easier way to go here is to tear the side, sacrifice the box. Alright. Here we've got a Strawberry Verte. Roots are gorgeous. And, you know, the plants are so big, I had to squish them down to get them into the box. They're fine, but squished down a little bit. Dotato. Still moist. An RDB, which stands for Ronde de Bordeaux. It's doing okay. What do we got here? Marseille Black. Now when I go to ship this person's order, I'm not going to ship them these exact same plants. I'll get them a different Marseille Black that hasn't been through this experience. These particular plants, I think I might, well, definitely put them back into their places. Or at least let them get fully hydrated. And then maybe up pot them here, so that they don't get shipped out at all. Ship out all fresh plants that haven't been through any sort of ordeal like this. Beal. More nice roots. This plant made it through fine. I'm suspicious that California brown turkey that was dry might have been a little dry when we put it in comparison to the others. There's a St. Rita doing nicely. Got a fig going already. Somebody here is anxious to get out. Col de Dame Noir. Nice. It's even starting to send some roots out there. So you could air layer it off there potentially. Heck, you could go straight with a cutting. You know, just cut it right there. Maybe trim off the loose leaves there. And that would probably survive the rooting, and then this would send out another bud. I do not suggest doing that. I would suggest on that plant waiting longer. You just pot it up. If you want to eventually clip it off there, just start an air layer. There we go, Col de Dame Blanc. It's doing fine. It's still moist. They're all still moist except for that California brown turkey. We got LSU Gold. Now this one feels lighter. It's drier, but it's still damp, so it hasn't really had any sort of injurious effect on the plant yet. Oh, hello. What do we got here? Fig down. Smith. Doing well. This is Brunswick. This is a nice height for shipping, you know, because this is a 20-inch tall box, and that gives you nice headroom without having to bend. On the other hand, having them a little tall like this, when you bend them down like that, it kind of spring loads all the plants in place, and they're kind of interlocked enough that they're held in place even when I roll them around. You could only do that with a full box though. If the box is not full, the plants will fall over just like you're seeing there. O'Rourke. This one is ready to get going. Oh, come on, you can do it. Improved Celeste. This thing's a beast. When it gets established, it really, really grows aggressively. Fruits heavily. Pretty cold hardy. LSU Purple. These LSU varieties have really aggressive roots. It's one of the things that helps them overcome nematode problems. They were bred down in the southeast U.S. where they have a lot of nematode problems. So I think that they're somewhat resistant to the nematodes, and then in addition they're pushing out so many roots that it makes up for it. So for folks that have to deal with that with their in-ground plants, I bet those LSUs would make good rootstock if you went to then, graft on something else on top of it. For example, a VDB or a Violet de Bordeaux here. It's not the most aggressive plant. Man, you can see the figs coming out already. See that little figlet there? Anyway, the Violet de Bordeaux, I'm seeing a lot of roots here, but it grows really slowly compared to some other varieties. And I had thought that it was because the roots system was weaker. And if that's true, then you could graft it onto a stronger rooted variety, like Improved Celeste or Brown Turkey. Salche. This one tastes like a peach to me. Boy, look at these roots. These are all new, I think. They didn't have these when I put them in there 5 days ago. These up here, these adventitious ones that are growing out. Gorgeous roots. Salche came through that 5-day ordeal in flying colors. Oh, the little fella down here. Where are you? Black Mission. Really popular variety in California. Commercial variety. What do we got here? Blackjack. This is a big one, like a brown turkey type. And by that I mean a California brown turkey type. Those really big, juicy ones. The flavor isn't as potent or as dense as it is with the smaller ones like a Violet de Bordeaux, but if you work and sweat as much as I do, those big, juicy ones are really refreshing. I like them. Alma's really good too. Really widespread. A lot of people have it, but boy, it's a great fig. So refreshing. Well, there we go. That was a tub of 24. This tub holds 24. So the rest I'll stick into this other tub beside it. There we go. Our Vista. This is a Violet de Bordeaux. Ooh, I injured a fig leaf there. Getting it out. I'm suspicious. I think that might root if I just leave it in that water. Oh, what do we got going on here? Bourgeois Grise. I remember this plant. This plant was pretty dry. It hadn't gotten much water, and I watered it before I put it in. It got really good roots. It's just ready to be potted up, treated a little better. Paradiso Bronze came through fine. What do we got here? Canadria. This is one of the first ones I experimented with using Clonex on, and it rooted well. They root pretty well without Clonex too, so a lot of folks don't use a rooting hormone at all. LSU Tiger, goodness. See, this is another one of those pigs that came from the LSU breeding program down in the southeast U.S. and they have really aggressive root systems. It's just wonderful. And the LSU Tiger is kind of a roundish, more roundish version of an improved Celeste. The fruit is, but it fruits really readily. And the last one was a Scots Black, another LSU fig. Just starting to send out little roots down there too. So really all of these came through really well, except for that California Brown Turkey, which was dry. And since all the rest came through still nicely moist, I'm suspicious that that California Brown Turkey was dry when I put it in. Or maybe it was just chewing through its moisture faster than the others. They grow really aggressively, but I'm going to guess that it's primarily because the little cup had less moisture than the others had. So there we go. That's what an order will look like when it shows up if you have a big order. If you have a smaller order, it'll be in a smaller box. But this is the size that they're at right now. A lot of the varieties, this was the rest of that person's order. A lot of the varieties that I have extras of that are ready to go out right now are at a good size for going out. But there's other varieties that I still don't have enough of. So for example, like an I-258, I have lots of nice plants, but that's relative. I have, lots of good plants for making one more generation out of, and then I'd have enough for everyone. So I can't ship out the I-258s that I have right now because I have to split them again. So for example, the I-258s are much bigger than these because I put them into larger pots earlier. So they're about 3 feet tall and much thicker. But I'll let those grow for a while more, and then I'll have enough wood to create the cuttings and the air layers and the small plants to ship out everybody's order finally. And that's going to be a good day. But until then, what I want to do is ship out the partial orders that have varieties that I have enough of now. So for example, like Marseille Black, I got a lot of those that are ready. They can go out now. But Maltese Falcon, this is going to be one that's going to have to stay and be split. I've got some in pots, and this is some in larger pots. A few growing as mother trees, but it's not enough. And I need to turn these into mother trees too, and grow them out. And then, when I prune and air layer that back, then that'll that generation is the generation that's going to be shipped out for everyone. So the latest ones to have been rooted are down here. They're just leafing out. Most of these tubs were rooted earlier, maybe a month and a half, maybe ahead of this last generation. So they're pretty big. And they're going now. Here's one little fellow that dried out along the way. But we'll see if he comes back to life. That won't be one I'll ship out. But these others are good to go. So I just wanted to share, once again, what your orders will look like, the kind of the size of the plants that they are at right now. And I think that this is going to be the way to go. I think in terms of not wrapping these cups in some sort of plastic to keep that moisture in, you know, spending 5 days in this box with no plastic in a non-humid exterior environment, I think that since they survive 5 days without plastic wrap, then certainly when I ship them using 2-day shipping, if I send them kind of bare like this, I bet they make it through fine without drying out. And I think that it would just cause more problems for you on the end, the receiving end, if I did wrap these in plastic and newspaper, because then, boy, they just stay soggy. I think we want the excess moisture to be able to drain out. And maybe what I'll do is put some cardboard or newspapers underneath the whole thing. That way the extra can drain into it, but it'd still be held down there, and it would kind of evaporate back up. It would increase the humidity within the box, but not so much that it would keep them soggy the way that wrapping in plastic does. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for the taking the time to watch the update, and I'll keep growing and shipping, and we'll get this project taken care of. Take care.